Hey, we have made it to Wives Wednesday again today. Hi, I'm Courtney, Master Relationship Mechanic with Marriage Maintenance. And if you've been trying to find me, I'm at www.marriagemaintenance.info, or just use the hashtag Relationship Service Station and you can find us. But if you're here subscribed to YouTube, there will be some subscription surprises coming this year in 2016. All right. Wives Wednesday, I thank you all for taking the time to watch this, ladies and gentlemen, so that you can improve your relationship. And the idea of Wives Wednesdays, of course, is for us to stand in the mirror so we can be the best that we can be, so that our unions can be the best. So it can be applicable to men as well. All you need to do is stand in the mirror and look at the things that you need to improve in yourself, and that will ultimately, when you become the best, your relationship will become the best. Today, we're talking about covering, and that's covering people in your relationship physically, mentally, emotionally, and sometimes that even means financially. You have to cover people, but it is helping them feel secure and protected in your relationship and warm at different times. What that means, I brought with me, while we're having this little talk today, thermos. I got 3 different types of thermos. Besides the fact they're made out of different material, that's one pair, kind of smooth blue color. Then I have another pair which is gray, kind of weavy, not necessarily wear out, but you wear under because it's right next to your skin. But then of course I have a favorite pair because it is not the color black. Of course I like black, but it lays next to your skin and it's nice and smooth, it's flexible, it's breathable, and you forget that you have them on. But all 3 of these pairs of thermos are perfect for the correct season, for the correct timing, depending on what and when you're wearing them. So, wives, remember, when you're being covering, you have to be different and identify the season that your relationship is in to be the appropriate covering for what is needed. Different seasons, different foundation is needed in your relationship to cover your husband. So, remember that when you slide on something nice and flexible, or when you slide on something a little bit tighter and snugger, what the purpose is for. Now, so we're going to jump into our message, and remember it is covering. So I'm going to give you 2 types of coverings, and I'm going to give you a positive and a negative aspect of both of those coverings. We're going to start off in the covering of talking about giving somebody security. And one type of covering, which is giving somebody security, is when you're giving them protection. You're protecting them from something. So when you're covering them, you're either creating kind of like a blanket over them to protect them from the cold, or you're creating a boundary around them when they have a cold, or when they're weak, or when things are attacking them. So we have to realize that we have to provide that sometimes in our relationship, because things happen, things occur in the world that we live in. Things try to come in and create disharmony. So you have to keep your mates and your relationships covered. The negative part of that, when you're not creating security and protection, is when you're suffocating your relationship. Has it been a time when your mate told you you were just a little too clingy, a little too needy? They felt like you were suffocating them. So sometimes that happens when we reach a level of insecurity. We feel like we have to always be around or on or with that individual person. Now, the telltale sign, the difference is if you're creating security or if you're suffocating someone in your relationship. Ask yourself this question: am I doing it for them or for me? If it is for you and you're doing it, you're suffocating them. If you're doing it for them, you're creating an environment of protection. And you must be honest about the reason that you're doing it. A lot of times we think we're doing things to benefit other people, but it's really to make ourselves feel good or make ourselves feel secure, feel a little bit more needed and appreciated in the relationship. Be careful if you're becoming suffocating. Readjust yourself and define yourself for the season that your relationship is in. Like I said, I held up my most favorite pair. It's flexible, it's breathable, it's adjustable during whatever season I need it to be in. Okay, so remember, first, are you protection or are you suffocating? So Look in the mirror and decide, am I secure with my relationship? And let's not place the blame on the other person for creating that insecurity. Now, if you're at a place where that person has done something where you don't trust them or things like that, you need to seek extra help. It's not going to just go away by you following them and constantly badgering them, because if you say you forgave them, do not constantly hold that deed as debt. Do not constantly hold a misdeed as debt. So remember that. Do not constantly hold a misdeed as debt. That means you're requiring them to constantly repay for something that they've already done in the past. So that's where you deviate those lines. Now, next into that, after you've determined if you're doing security or you're providing suffocation, think about a spotlight. It creates warmth in a relationship. A spotlight is supposed to bring about the good things, but also you could be spotlighting and you could be trying to shame your partner or the person that you're in a relationship. So be careful when you are about and you throw the spotlight on somebody. Make sure you're not always correcting them in front of others. That can be a shaming mechanism to let that person know that they have a little problem in a certain area. Don't always correct somebody's spelling or the way they pronounce something when they're out, because that can be shameful, because they can get to the point where they stop communicating with you because they feel like you expect them to be a dictionary or perfect. There's nothing wrong with wanting someone to speak correct English, but it's okay for them to have their way of expressing themselves. So be careful when you're trying to shame somebody and shaming somebody because of something they've done to you. Kind of like the scarlet letter. You always remind them that they did something to you. So quit playing the victim in your relationship. Quit playing the victim in your relationship. And one thing you need to know, ladies, if you're constantly talking about stories or incidences or situations that are not flattering to your spouse, it really does not make you look good as a woman either. So be careful when you're shaming, because at the same time you're shaming, the other individual is shaming you, because you all are one. You're one unit. Remember that. And so that kind of goes back to the thermos. You got to think, when you're going to an event and you have something, it's kind of like a spotlight too. Now, what fits you that is flattering, or what fits you that's kind of bring about a shame? I picked up a pair. And they're very comfortable. Great for sleeping in, because nobody really has to see what you look like. But they are not figure flattering, but they keep you warm when you sleep. But it's not something that you would put on under a pair of garments, because it would show every flaw that exists. Not very flattering. So that is not the kind of spotlight that you want to put on your relationship, because it has a very ugly waistband. It's not very smooth. So that means the waistband shows where it sits, and if you have anything else, that means it accentuates all of the flaws. So be careful when you're putting a spotlight on your relationship that you're not accentuating all of the flaws. Now, of course, the type of spotlight I want to encourage you to put on your relationship is a warming spotlight, where you're talking about all of the great things. You're uplifting your partner. You're speaking the things that you want to constantly see in your relationship. So speak the things that you want your mate to repeat. Speak the things that encourage them. Speak the things that uplift them, which ultimately uplifts you. So if you give positive talk to them, that means positive actions come back towards you. So in this, be a good covering, be secure, and be a spotlight that creates warmth, not highlights the flaws. So when you're spotlighting, you're emphasizing the things that are flattering in your relationship. So wives, always remember, create a secure environment and be a flattering person. So that means speak about the things that you want to see your mate constantly repeat. They say we do the things that we constantly hear people talk about us. So when you talk about the negative things, that is constantly what that person hears, and that is constantly who they become, because you affirm that behavior. So stop affirming negative behavior and affirm the positive things within your relationship. So those are the things that we are going to leave with. And wives, I appreciate you joining me again for another Wives Wednesday. And I actually would love to invite you this Saturday, wherever you all are listening this from, Saturday at 9 a.m. We will have a live streaming via YouTube. The connection is out on Twitter. The connection is out on Facebook. Please join us, and it will be linked also to this YouTube where you can actually get the link to see the live stream. Look forward to seeing you this Saturday at 9 a.m. Keeping your relationship on course. Ladies, we're going to give Jesus the wheel so that it stays on course, and we're not going to be trying to be in control. Thank you.